Hi everybody, Alicia here. Tonight I am talking to you about one of my favorite topics to talk to you about, nutrition. And I like talking about nutrition because there's a lot of questions that you have about nutrition. There's also a lot of misinformation out there. So I like to clarify some of the confusion and give you some really good tangible advice that you can use in your life. So tonight's topic for nutrition is the 5 W's and the H of nutrition. So the who, what, when, where, why, and how of nutrition. So this is not about steps or about a pyramid where one part is more important than the other. You can think of these like legs on a table that just hold everything up. So you'll want to address all of these topics that I'm talking about, see what's lacking in your nutrition routine and where you can implement some changes and some improvements. So nutrition is something that's important to you because you are maybe trying to lose weight or improve your health or both of those things. And nutrition is absolutely the tool to do that. You may know that I am studying to be an Ayurvedic lifestyle coach. And in Ayurveda, we say that any other interventions that you're doing, whether you're making lifestyle changes or taking herbs or any of the panchakarma, like the cleanses that you're doing, none of those are effective if you don't first get your diet in line. And of course, when I say diet, I mean the diet that you have. We all have a diet. It's the food that we eat, not as in going on a diet, meaning restricting calories to lose weight. So I like to use the word nutrition, but I will use the word diet interchangeably. Okay, so the 5 W's and the 1 H of nutrition. And we're going to start with why. So with the why, you want to know what is your goal, what is your why. And that's what's going to keep you on track if the goal is important and meaningful to you. And if you have this goal of, well, I want to lose 5 pounds or I want to lose 10 pounds, that's got to have some meaning. That's got to have some weight. Just losing 5 pounds is not going to keep you on track. It's got to be more meaning and more meaningful. And you really get that by asking why 5 more times. Why? Why do you want to lose 5 pounds? And then ask why again, and really drill down to why it's important to you. And you may discover that losing 5 pounds is not important to you, but there may be some more motivating health factors that are more important, like staying healthy for your family. Set a good example for your kids. Whatever that is, it's got to be really relevant to help keep you on track, especially when it gets tough. But we can also look at why as why are you eating? So in a blog post that I did, Practice Mindful Eating to Reach Your Goals, I have one of my topics, one of my suggestions is to pause before eating and ask yourself if you're eating for emotional reasons or for physical reasons. And I got this great chart from a book called Mindless Eating by Brian Wansink, and he compares physical versus emotional hunger. So, one example would be if you're emotionally hungry after you eat, you still feel hungry. If you're physically hungry after you eat, you feel satisfied. So there's some other things you want to look at that you want to stop and ask, why is it that you're about to eat? There's also, if you've heard of it, HALT, H-A-L-T. Are you eating because you're hungry or you're angry, lonely, tired? But again, that's just coming back to emotional eating, if you're eating because you're emotional. There's also a mindfulness technique called RAIN, and that's an acronym, and it stands for recognize, accept, investigate, and then the N could stand for non-identify or nurture. And so in that mindfulness technique, it's not specific to eating, it's just about emotions. So in the mindfulness technique of RAIN, you recognize what you're feeling, you accept it, you investigate what does it feel like in your body, and then the N could be non-identification or nurturing. So if you're feeling, say, overwhelmed, you recognize that you're feeling overwhelmed, you accept it rather than saying, well, I should be able to handle this. Instead, you recognize you're feeling overwhelmed and you investigate what that feels like in your body. And it may feel like tightness in your stomach, your dry mouth, tension in your shoulders, just whatever that feels like. And then the N, you could not identify with that feeling. So not saying I am overwhelmed, instead maybe phrasing it as I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I have these feelings of being overwhelmed. Or could be nurture. So what can you do to nurture yourself through these feelings? And maybe rather than reaching for a bag of chips, we find a better way that we can help soothe ourselves through some of these difficult emotions. So that's a good technique, RAIN. And also your why, this is where your sleep and your stress management will really play an important role, because if you're not getting enough sleep, you're of course going to reach for snacks to give you quick bursts of energy. When you're not sleeping well, it really does affect your hormones, especially like leptin and ghrelin, the hormone of feeling satiated, and the hormones of hunger. So it can throw off those, and really despite your best efforts, you're going to be eating maybe things that aren't totally healthy for you. And your stress, how are you managing your stress? Because you could be using food as a coping mechanism for your stress. Okay, so that's the why. All right, the next one is when. And this is, hi Carlin, this is not about, maybe you're thinking meal frequency, and it's not, because meal frequency, there's still a lot of, controversy, if that's the right word, around meal frequency. Yeah. Yes, Carlin, you inspired this talk today, so keep listening. Meal frequency, you may know someone who says they lost weight eating 5 or 6 meals a day, and you may know someone who has lost weight or maintains their weight just fine eating 3 big meals a day. So it's really whatever works best for you for meal frequency. One of the things I want to talk about is this idea of restricted feeding time. And it's basically that you have your cutoff where you stop eating at a certain time, so that you give your body, say, 12 hours to process the food, to digest. So maybe if you stop eating, at 7 o'clock at night, you're not going to have breakfast again before 7 o'clock in the morning. And studies have found that people could eat the same amount of food, the same types of food, the same amount of calories over a longer period of time. So say they eat those calories over 14 hours and they only give themselves a 10-hour break, or they eat that food over a smaller period of time. So they eat over maybe 12 hours or 10 hours or even less than that. They can eat the same food and they're actually going to have better health markers, and they're going to lose weight if they give their body that longer time off, that time to digest. So it's important just to note, like, when you stop eating and when you start eating, what is that window that you're not eating, and could you extend that? And that might be a way that you could cut off nighttime snacking. So we kind of get this idea in our head that eating late at night or eating before bed affects our weight, and maybe it does. And it could be because of this not giving ourselves this window to digest the food, but also something that I never really thought of until I heard someone talking about this. It's the behavior. We're more likely to reach for snack food or to sit in front of the television and eat at night, but we're not going to do that during the day. So we can just eliminate that behavior if we have given ourselves that cutoff time. And the study has shown that we can actually eat those same foods during the day, but if we're giving ourselves a break, our body is going to manage that and process that better. Another thing I want to point out about the when is something that I see with my clients who seem to be kind of stuck on a plateau, is they do great all week long, but then go off the rails on the weekend. And I always say your body does not know the difference between a Wednesday and a Saturday. You just can't take the weekends off, or you're always going to be, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, if that. So to really make progress, you've got to keep on your same routine throughout the weekend, whatever that means to you. I would also say not skipping meals. And while I did say meal frequency is, not really the issue I'm talking about, if you skip a meal, if you skip lunch, that's a whole meal that you've missed your macronutrients, your protein, that you've missed your vitamins, your nutrients through that meal. So unless you can make up all those nutrients, eat a dinner that's twice as big, you're going to be missing out on hitting your protein goals, your fiber goals. And probably if you miss lunch and you eat a dinner that's twice as big, you're probably not going to sleep great. You're not going to feel awesome at night. So spreading out those meals, however you eat them, rather than skipping lunch, is going to get you all your nutrients. And guess what? That's really going to help you manage stress. If you are stressed out and you're skipping lunch, and maybe you're skipping lunch because you're working, what are you going to do? Probably reach for snacks that are comforting or quick energy, and those snacks probably don't help you reach your goals. Breakfast. All right, this is another one. This could be a controversial topic. There are some studies that say eating breakfast helps with weight loss, and then there's some controversy over who funds those studies. But I would say if you look at the people who are being successful, a lot of them are eating breakfast. And again, it's because they're not skipping a meal. They are taking the opportunity to get the macros that they need, and especially a breakfast with protein. I was listening to a doctor talk about adrenal fatigue in women, and she said that one of the worst things that women can do who are having this issue is get up and have like a big bowl of oatmeal or a big bowl of cereal. Like piling on the carbs if you're already struggling with like adrenal fatigue is not helpful. They have to start with protein. And so we could, of course, just kind of extrapolate that out to our life. We have a busy life. We need energy. It's going to be best if we get up and have that protein-rich meal. And then we're getting our protein, which is absolutely helpful if we have weight loss goals. So that's why we don't want to skip our breakfast. And then I'm going to throw in pre and post workout. So this falls under the when, because you want to time this appropriately. If you are not having a pre-workout snack and you haven't eaten for hours, and then you get to the gym or you show up for your training session with me, you're lightheaded, you don't have any energy, you have no strength. Like that workout session, we didn't get the best we could out of it. So you want to make sure that you have some kind of pre-workout meal so that you have all the energy. Yes, eggs for protein, absolutely. Yeah, if you are not vegan like myself, there are so many options for you to get protein in the morning. Eggs are definitely a good one, and Greek yogurt. You want to make sure it's Greek yogurt so it has lots of protein, and you got to get the plain. You can't get the stuff that's loaded up with fruit. Yogurt's a really good option if you're used to eating milk and cereal for breakfast. This is the kind of the next step that I'll encourage clients to try is, okay, how about maybe some yogurt instead? And especially because you can eat that on the go if they're not, into eggs or cooking eggs. I eat tempeh for breakfast, so that's where I get my protein. Where am I at? Okay, this is the pre and the post-workout. So getting that pre-workout meal. Hi, Amanda. So getting that pre-workout meal so you have lots of energy. And then your post-workout meal, you want to put back what you used so that you are getting the benefits from your workout. So I think sometimes there's a fallacy out there of, well, why would I eat? I just worked out. Well, that's the perfect time to eat. I say you're going to go on a trip, you have to fill up your gas tank to go on that trip. Well, then you have to fill up your gas tank when you get home so you have gas in the tank for tomorrow. Same thing when you work out. You got to have that energy before your workout, and then you have to replace it afterwards. And that absolutely helps with whatever your goals are, whether your goals are performance or weight loss or strength building. There's no plan out there where you're going to skip your meal after your workout. All right, so let's all say about the when. Okay, the what. The biggest number one what is to eat real food. If we can start working on eliminating processed food, it's going to make a huge difference in the way we look and feel. Some of the most popular diets out there, whether it's paleo or Whole30 or keto or Mediterranean, the thing they all have in common is that it's based on eating real food, eating fruits and vegetables, and eating fish, eating meat, healthy fats, so all of those things. So that's why you see so many of these different diets work for different people, because they have this common element of eating real food. There have been studies that show whether you cut carbs or cut fat, you're going to lose weight. So it's choosing what works best for you and for your life and what you prefer, but that's got to be focused around eating whole food. And that's going to help to get all of the protein and the fiber and the water that you need. So if you're not eating, prepackaged food that's stripped of all the fiber, even if they try to put some back in, or you're not, having these, drinking these weird colored juices that are supposed to be healthy, you're going to get all the things you need as far as protein, fiber, and water. And those are huge when we're working on weight loss. Again, the fat and the carbs, they're going to be whatever, they're going to fluctuate because it's what works for you and it's what you prefer, but everybody needs to get the fiber, protein, and water. That's just a thing. So that's important for whatever your health goals are. And this is also going to encourage you to prepare your own food. So if you're eating whole foods, you're not going to be, getting fast food or buying packaged foods for lunch. You're going to be making your food, and that's going to absolutely change your relationship with food. It's going to change how you see food. And there's going to be a different appreciation, when you're making something yourself. And that is why Michael Pollan says, eat all the junk food you want as long as you cook it yourself. So there's definitely something different, I think, that happens, if you are making that food versus there's just this bottomless pit of, candy. And then let's see, meal prep. So meal prepping, preparing your own food, eating real food. So that's the what. That's important. All right. So the last kind of leg of our table for our 5 W's and our 1 H, the who, what, when, where, why, and how of nutrition. So we covered the why, we covered the when, we covered the what, and then these last 3, who, where, and how. Okay. So this is about the environment that you're in when you're eating, who you're with when you're eating, where you're at, how you're eating. This is about mindful eating. So I will put a link to the post that I wrote about mindful eating. There's some tips in there. And one thing that is really important about your mindful eating is where are you eating? Do you have a space where you can eat? Can you get away from your desk? Can you sit down at the table? We want to get away from those habits of eating while we're at our desk, eating in bed, eating on the couch, having that designated space to eat. And this comes back to one of the yamas and the niyamas of yoga, saucha, which is cleanliness, but it also means like keeping energies separate. So thinking about your desk as a place where you work, your bed a place where you sleep, your dining room table a place where you eat. So carving out those spaces that have those specific purposes, and that's going to make your meal obviously more enjoyable. If you are eating in front of the television, studies have shown you are going to eat more food. That could sabotage your goals. The more people you are with, the more you are likely to eat. And that is out of that book I mentioned, Mindless Eating by Brian Wansek. That's a really great book. So the more people you are with, the more likely you are to overeat. He also has those a lot of those studies and those tips of things like eat off of a smaller plate, eat off a red plate. These are all things that can help you to lose weight. So that's a really great book if you want to look more into these aspects of food. Just what is your routine surrounding food? Are you standing up? Yes, I will put. I'll put the book in the comments. Thank you. What is your routine? Are you standing up and eating? Eating out of a pot, standing over the sink, or do you really make eating an event where you sit down, you serve yourself your food, you notice what you're eating, you take the time to enjoy it. These things, this idea of this mindful eating, this is what is sustainable and will carry you through to help you reach your goals. If we're stuck in this idea of counting all of the calories, but we're eating, out of a pot over the sink, or we're eating, packaged food, that's not going to lead us to our goals. If it does, it may be a quick fix or a short term, but really making these overall changes that we can maintain for a lifetime. What is your mindset around food? Are you eating something because you think you have to eat it? Is there guilt around food when you eat something like a brownie? If you ate that brownie and you enjoyed it, it's going to have a whole lot better effect than if you ate that brownie and then beat yourself up over it. Because not only is that going to lead to a lot of stress and negativity in your mind, well, what do we do when we are stressed out? We're probably going to comfort ourselves with another brownie. So enjoy those snacks. Let go of the feeling of guilt. Eating slowly. Studies have shown that overweight people chew their food less than normal weight people. So chewing your food is a weight loss strategy, chewing your food. I recently heard, if your mouth is full, your fork should be empty. And I think this is a great tip. I often think about putting my fork down between bites, or if I'm drinking, water, or I'm drinking coffee in the morning, I make sure I didn't inhale my food before I drank, some water or some coffee. So that can kind of slow me down a little bit. But I love that. If your mouth is full, your fork is empty. That helps you to slow down, to take your time, to chew your food. And then also, another saying that I love, it's a Zen saying. And I think the whole saying is when walking, walk, when eating, eat. So when you're eating, eat. Yes, this is all simple. It's easy, but it's not simple, or it's simple, but it's not easy. Even that saying alone is hard. These are tricks that they make so much sense, but they can be hard to implement. And this is why it takes, practice every day. Every day, every meal is an opportunity to practice these techniques and to get better. So the Zen saying, when eating, eat. So again, this is the idea that we are not eating in front of a screen, which will, lead to overeating, or, any of the other things we like to multitask and do. If we can really sit down and give our food our full attention, that's going to go such a long way into helping us enjoy our meal, feeling just mentally and physically and emotionally satiated by the meal that we ate. And then we can use other tricks, like from that book, Mindless Eating, to not serve your dinner with all of your food on the table. I guess that would be like family style. You keep the food in the kitchen, serve the food on your plate, and then sit down and eat it. So that way it's not in front of you. And then you could extrapolate that out to your environment. If there is something that you don't want to eat, then don't have it in your house. If you live with other people and they do have these things, can you work it out with them that it is hiding from you, out of sight, out of mind? So many foods, if they're there, we'll eat them, but if they're not, then we don't even miss them. So think about that. Think about what's in your environment. If there's food in your pantry that you don't want to eat, let's put it in the trash. Let's throw it away. Let's throw it in the trash, empty the box, take the trash outside, get rid of it. Set yourself up for success, rather than thinking, this is your character flaw, that you can't resist this box of, cookies or whatever that's calling your name. Set yourself up for success. This goes back to the post I did about if you're an abstainer versus a moderator. If you're a moderator, you can eat one cookie. You can have one square of chocolate. If you are an abstainer like I am, I don't even understand how people keep a chocolate bar in the fridge and eat one square. Like, that chocolate bar would be gone, or it would be calling my name all night. And you just know, rather than wishing you were somebody else or wishing you were a different way, just know who you are and work towards your strengths. Set your environment up to make you successful in whatever your goals are. And again, for a lot of us, that's weight loss or improving our health, or those two things go hand in hand. Okay, so I think that's it for the who, the where, and the how. So how are you eating? Eating slowly. Where are you eating? Do you have a designated space? And who are you eating with? Studies do show that the more people you're with, the more you're likely to overeat. So just keep that in mind. Maybe be a little more diligent. We got the what. Eating real food is the big one there. When. And really that's not meal frequency. That kind of varies. And the why. Know your why. That's going to be your foundation. That's going to keep you on track for reaching your goals, even when it's tough. So now that you've heard a couple of my suggestions for improving your nutrition, what is your biggest struggle? Is there something that you know that you should be doing or you can be doing, but it is just a constant struggle? I take this information in from my clients, from what I see, and I try to find ways to help you reach your goals. So tell me what you're struggling with, and if you found something that works for you, tell me what works for you. Tell me so I can share it. So I'm going to keep learning and expanding and finding ways to help you reach your goals. So keep giving me feedback, and let's talk again soon. Have a good night. Thanks.